right, one of the greatest concerns in the world today may be how to end poverty, or it really is how to end poverty. Not that it's you know, it's not a maybe thing. Yeah. In Africa, there are fears that 1 out of 2 people may be poor, giving stakeholders concern that this is fueling conflict and unrest on the continent.
Well, experts have identified the need to make the battle more fierce as the issue, rather than reduce, continues to rise. Well, recent data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that about 112 million people, representing 67.1% of the country's estimated population, are living below the poverty line.
But why are Africans poor despite the continent's rich resources, and how can we make conscious efforts to reduce poverty in not only Nigeria, but of course in Africa? But our focus this morning, of course, is Nigeria. We have joining us a public affairs analyst. He's also a lawyer, Wale Oshunde. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let me add to that, information we just put out there. Education has stalled for decades, and it's a major determinant for poverty alleviation. Only 12% of today's youth in Nigeria have more education than their parents, and it makes you wonder what lies ahead for the future. Wale, poverty, some people have said Nigeria is too poor to be rich and too rich to be poor.
I think that's very correct, and the honest truth is that we're a very blessed country. We have so much resources to be harnessed, and I think the fundamental word there is harnessed. The honest truth is that our leaders have failed to actually crisscross the length and breadth of this country. I mean, see the enormous resources that we have, and then forget about this oil thing. Oil boom that has now turned, or that is now turning into oil doom for this country.
That seems to be the problem, the inequality in wealth distribution. You start to say that about 10% of Nigeria's population controls about 90% of its natural resources.
Good.
And that is why we are where we are today, close to 70% living below poverty line. So has the government, let me even say the government, the current governments over time now, have they failed Nigerians to prepare them for the future? Because Nigeria is estimated to have about 400 million population by 2050.
You see, the thing is this: successive governments have actually not done enough. Simple and pure. And we need to now take the bull by the horn to ensure. In fact, the truth is that that thing is underreported. To my mind, I think it's not about 70%. It's about 85%. I mean, go right there on the streets and then see the way people are actually, yearning for better life. They're yearning for true change. They want food on their table. And that's the thing. So I don't even want to believe that it's actually 67% or 70% or thereabout. It's about 85 to 90%. Just about 10% of, I mean, this is a country of over 200 million people right now. And that's the truth. And so are you telling me that just about say 1.5 million people are poor or something?
So how would you react to a research that says Lagos State, for example, yes, Lagos indeed is the richest state in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the 5th largest economy in Africa, if Lagos were, a nation. 8.5% of Lagosians are poor. That's what that research says. And I wonder how reliable that, that figure is. Because, look, yeah, Lagos is a blaze trailer, but yet to see poverty all around you.
I'm happy you also doubted the veracity of the statistics yourself. I mean, it's not possible that in Lagos State, for example, it would just be 8.5. I mean, people troop into Lagos day in, day out, seeking for better life, because they believe that this is where the whole thing is happening, and that's the truth, okay? And so they come in here from all walks of life, from all the villages across the 774 local governments in Nigeria, believing that, okay, when I get to Lagos, things will get better. It does not mean that the moment they land in Lagos, things begin to get better. It takes time.
The pressure is even more on a state like Lagos in Nigeria, because you see, because of the poverty level, there is a rural-urban migration, and there is pressure on the urban areas of the country, and Lagos especially.
I agree 100% with you, because, I mean, we all know how saturated Lagos is, how overpopulated, because it is overpopulated right now. I mean, you can hardly breathe, you know, in fresh air because the next house is actually developed and then people are living there in massive numbers and all that. So, I mean, I think I really feel for whoever the governor of Lagos State is right now, Akinwumi, you know, because he has to provide, you know, for the people of Lagos State, and then even those people who are trooping in, day out, they have to start planning for them. We have to start planning. You see, I think the most important thing is that we need to have more statesmen, you know, in control of the affairs of our national life, and that's it. You see, because statesmen
visionary leaders, like
that is it.
One of our guests said earlier.
You know, statesmen would prepare for the next generation, but politicians will prepare for the next election. And that is the problem that we have been faced with in this country.
And since poverty is a tool in the hand of the politicians.
That's it. So we need to now reorientate our people, and that's actually one of those things that I'm all out to do. I mean, to advocate for youth inclusiveness and to ensure that our people, I mean, cease to become tools in the hands of evil politicians. We should become...
so let's come back to the fundamental question.
Yes.
Why is Nigeria so poor? I mean, coming across this statistic that says that only 12% of the Nigerian youth is actually more educated than their parents. That is really, really troubling.
Yes.
Which means it is very likely that out of 3 of us, really, our parents were more educated than us.
Okay, good. I think we can actually...
And education is the plank on which poverty alleviation and every other thing, you know,
the main pillar of development of any nation.
I always like to go back to our founding fathers. They are Awolowos of this world, the great Zeke of this world, the Sardana of this world. You see, the truth is that they ensured that their people, I mean, got a fair share of education, particularly in the Western region, under Obafemi Awolowo. And then, you see, he said something then, he said, educate people, and then you see that poverty would go away. And that's simple, that's pure, that's true. So, you see, when they now started the Education for All project, and our parents and our grandparents were going to school, and they had it on a platter of gold. In fact, some of them were even paid to go to school. I mean, and then they went to some of the most fantastic schools in the world. Some of them, in fact, a lot of them traveled abroad.
Education becomes an option when a human being has been able to satisfy his other basic human needs, like food. Now, like millions of people in the northeastern part of Nigeria are in need of life-saving food aid. So people like that, when you talk to them, that, excuse me, there is need for them to take their children to school, they'll tell you, give us food first of all. And that is the situation Nigeria is finding itself today. So, and sadly, like we said earlier, like you just pointed out too, knowledge-based economy is the way to improve the economy of any country, but Nigeria has not even been able to solve the basic need of solving poverty and then making education attractive.
You see, again, I go back to the basics. The simple truth and then the way forward is that we should take a cue from our founding leaders. You go to school, they even give you money to feed yourself because they know you have not even started working. So you need money to put yourself together. In the UK, for example, I mean, you go to school or you work. I mean, you go to school and then you work. That is it. They know that you need support for yourself. And you need to feed yourself and your family. And so they give you that opportunity to go to school, and then you still work to earn, you know, little stipends to take care of yourself and your family. And so that is what we need to do here in Nigeria. You only find people go to school. There is nothing like holiday job again, no internship, nothing, you know, and that does not make any sense. And so we really need to go back to the basics. I mean, in those days, the moment you even graduate, you have a lot of employment opportunities waiting for you to pick from. And then in most cases, you even have brand new cars for teachers. Well, unfortunately,
overpopulation has caught up with us. The IMF has even warned that the 2.7 population growth, whatever gains we make from the economic growth, the marginal economic growth and the projections for 2018 and, you know, further down, 1.8% or thereabouts, that the population growth will erase all of the gains. And the same IMF has said, look, to tackle poverty in Nigeria, you must invest in massive infrastructure. And yet government will say, we don't have money to provide infrastructure. So which one comes first?
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, I like to say that it's really not overpopulation that has caught up with us. It is lack of proper planning that has caught up with us. Because I mean, our founding fathers had the way they were going about it. They were projecting into the future, and then they were preparing for the future generations yet unborn. And so, our leaders now are supposed to be preparing for the next generation, and that's it. If you go to China, I mean, is there any other country that is more populated? But look at the progression, and look at how they are taking care of their population. And so, go to the United States of America. They're taking care of their people. Why is our own case different? Simple. We are not planning for the next generation. We only plan for now. We live for now, and then we live tomorrow in the hands of God. Yes, tomorrow is in the hands of God, but we need to plan. He who plans, I mean, he who fails to plan is already planning to fail, and that's it.
It seems the youths do not even care about what is going on. Yes, because of poverty. That is why you see that internet fraud is on the rise. I was talking to some youths a while back, and they said, give me an opportunity. And many even say now publicly that it's better for you to even engage in internet fraud and become rich than go to school, go through the process, and when you come back, when you come out of it, you are unemployed for many years. So it's not even encouraging. So how bleak or how bright is the future of Nigeria when youths are thinking like that?
It is unfortunate. And then I should quickly say that there is no right way of doing a wrong thing. You cannot commit a crime because you think that's the best way to have a good life. It would not work. As a matter of fact, you will further plunge yourself into more crisis. I mean, you engage yourself in internet, crime, and you are caught, and you are jailed. Also, please, what good life do you now have? So, but what we need to do is to actually talk sense into the skulls of our leaders. They must take the bull by the horn. They must do the right thing. They know what the right thing is. And the right thing is simply planning for the next generation. We plan for those who are here now. I mean, take, for instance, the situation where you're not even able to pay staff salaries for how many months. You're not able to pay pensioners their monies. And then our leaders are cutting away billions of dollars. These days, they don't even steal in Naira again. It's now in dollars.
Dollarized.
Dollarized economy. I mean, how do I call it now? So, I mean, that is most unfortunate. And then we want change. All of a sudden, it would not happen.
So now you talk about planning, and budgeting has to do with planning. I recall growing up, we used to hear about 10-year development plans and all of that. I wonder what's happened to that. Of course, there's an economic recovery and growth plan in place, which the IMF has called as a brilliant document, but it says implementation is where the problem is. But then there's a more troubling outcome of a research done by the World Bank saying that since 1960 that the indices of poverty alleviation in Nigeria have remained unchanged. So which means since independence over 50-something years, Nigeria has not done much, whether in the area of education infrastructure, health, infrastructure, and all of that. We have just been on one spot.
I mean, I just told you the other time that we need to go back to the basics. They have just told us about independence or pre-independence now. And I told you earlier that most of the best ideas that we have had in this country were those ones of the yesteryears. The years of the Awolowos, of the Saldana. And that's exactly what the World Bank is also alluding to.
The strategy of the present administration is even to put special intervention funds in place. But will that address poverty, endemic poverty in the system, and then bring back the middle class, which is nowhere again? It's because it's just a clear divide now between the rich and the poor.
You see, well, I understand the stress on the present administration. But unfortunately, that may not be the way to end this old quagmire. What do I mean? When you are talking about intervention funds that would only give 30,000 naira or maybe 200,000 naira to somebody,
or 5,000
naira to somebody to start off, I don't think that makes any sense. That's the honest truth. What can anybody do with 5,000 naira? What can anybody do with 30,000 naira to start up something that will end up in a fantastic way?
And Nigerian civil servants are being paid 18,000 naira
so you look at it. And so I really do not think it measures up.
We could even discuss it for hours and we will still find solution. Thank you very much. But of course, those that can change things are listening. Thank you for your analysis at this time. Wale Oshunde, you're a lawyer and public affairs analyst.
Thank you very much for having me.